The James Show Podcast.
I am not happy to bring you this next story at all. Over the Memorial Day weekend, there was a terrible accident over on the lake, and a woman was hit by a jet ski driver while she was in a kayak. Turned out she didn't make it. You probably heard the story already, but just to catch everyone up and make sure, here's a quick summary from our news partner, WFAA TV.
21-year-old Dakerlyn Alejandra Gonzalez, accused of leaving the scene after she ran over 18-year-old kayaker Ava Moore with a jet ski on Grapevine Lake. She was arrested in Dallas Tuesday, along with Michael Coelho Parezo, who investigators say helped Gonzalez get away. Her newly obtained arrest affidavit reveals witnesses reported she was driving that jet ski fast, recklessly, near the shoreline and swimmers. Ava was kayaking with a friend nearby, the affidavit says. That friend told authorities they were deliberately paddling away from Gonzalez when she struck Ava's kayak from behind, then traveled across the top of it.
So let's start counting up the evidence here, because it's starting to sound like, to me, that this jet ski accident isn't really an accident. Now, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I wasn't there. But let's go over some things that we do know. Number one, there's multiple passes. There's excessive speed. And you heard the way it was described there by WFAA. At the end, she was hit from behind. So while someone's paddling away trying to get out of the scenario, why would they want to get out of the scenario? Because they were being bothered by the jet ski? Because they were being harassed by the jet ski? We're going to find out a little bit more about this story later. But when you make multiple passes, and I'm assuming there's some kind of close calls in there, and you hit her from behind, and then afterwards you run away. You don't stop and render aid. You don't circle back to make sure she's okay or apologize or go get help. You haul butt. You go back to the shore. Some guy says he'll help you run, and you run away so fast. You get into 2 car accidents just getting out of Dodge. And then when they find you, you're packing your bags. That was in the Dallas Morning News article. These are not the reactions of an accident. These are the reactions of a murderer. It has kind of the same feeling with the Carmelo Anthony thing. If he was just defending himself, why didn't he stop and render aid? Why did he run away? Why did he ditch the knife? Why did he try to get away with it? The Dallas Morning News article finally admits they're illegal immigrants from Venezuela. Not in the first paragraph, definitely not in the headline, not in the second paragraph, third paragraph, or fourth paragraph, or fifth paragraph, sixth paragraph, seventh paragraph, 14th paragraph. This is when the Dallas Morning News article admits they're illegal immigrants. That's a level of detail that probably should be in the headline. That's kind of a hot issue that we're all dealing with right now. In fact, you seem very concerned about the storyline of illegal immigrants in North Texas. You have a little crying fest in your newspaper and on your website whenever some get arrested. Oh, they tricked them into going to court, and then they dismissed their charges, and some plainclothes masked officers just kidnapped them right in the middle of court. Oh, but you don't care about the plight or status of an illegal immigrant in this case. God, you're hacks. I'm embarrassed for you. The whole world sees this. You know that, right? Do you know how people, friends, talk about Dallas Morning News and the media bias they see to this level? Do you have to ever stand next to people like me at a bar? Because I was at Manny G's last night in Keller. That was one of the things we were talking about. How absolutely embarrassing you people are to yourselves. Especially after the Joe Biden thing and the Jake Tapper thing. You are viewed not as austere members of the community. You're clowns. So how did all these Venezuelans get here? They didn't take a jet ski here. They didn't walk here. They didn't take a train here. Were they flown here? Were these some of the ones that Biden was using your tax money to fly in? People from the third world? Because that was something that, the dogs eating the cats was a funny moment during the campaign. But turns out the real question was, how did 30,000 Haitians get from Haiti to this one small town in somewhat rural Ohio? Well, if they were deliberately flown there, did you pay for it? I think you did. And if they're flying people in from Venezuela, some sort of asylum program, the Venezuelan socialists are still in charge of that government. They get to pick and choose who stays and who leaves. You think they're sending us their best? No, they're sending us the rejects. It's kind of like Scarface, the Mariel boat lift almost. Oh, really? You're going to fly thousands of Venezuelans up to America and give them asylum? That's fantastic. Here, take these winners. No, we're getting the third world rejects. How many Americans have to get in a car wreck or a jet ski accident or die or get stabbed or get shot or whatever it takes before we admit, hey, this was not a good idea. Maybe we should kind of crack down and enforce our laws a little bit. But what do you think? Do you think this fatal jet ski accident was an accident? Amateur sleuths, I'm looking at you. You people who like to watch CSI and Discovery ID. And I'm not saying that as a pejorative. Miss Parker loves that stuff.
Hi, Miss Parker.
Miss Parker, do you have a hot opinion on whether or not this was an accident? Because it might not be. And if it's not, I need to see her charged with murder. I need her to be charged accordingly. One of our neighbors just lost their 18-year-old daughter who was headed to the Air Force Academy in a matter of days. And for what? For a third world reject that we flew in here at your taxpayer expense? You know, if it was an accident, the number one thing that you would expect from the person who was driving the jet ski, who hit the 18-year-old on the kayaker from behind with excessive speed close to the shoreline, breaking all kinds of rules there. She didn't turn to render aid. She didn't stop to see if she was okay. She ran. And she ran not in a calm, controlled measure like, oh, I thought she was okay and it was just our time to leave. No, they got out of Dodge so fast they hit two other cars on the way out the parking lot. When the cops caught up with her, she was packing to go, her and the guy that drove her away. So this is an instance where I hope they throw the book at her. I hope that we see some kind of maximum punishment for whatever charge she ends up catching. Now, I don't know if it's going to be manslaughter or reckless manslaughter or something to that effect. I'm hoping it's murder. Now, we have reports here. Dallas Morning News said Governor Greg Abbott made a post Tuesday, which is yesterday, where he mentioned the death penalty for the case. So, okay. I go through and look at it. And all he did is Greg Abbott posted, "Welcome to Texas. Here's your death penalty." And he retweeted a story from, Channel 11 here about the two illegal aliens arrested after the jet ski accident. So it sounds like he's advocating for the death penalty. And he's a lawyer by trade. He knows more about this stuff than I do. So let's go then. Here's some other parts of the story that you're not going to like, but you need to hear it. The reporting says that they were actually picked up after crossing the border illegally a few years ago. They were in custody. They were given a court date and released just right back into society. So if we had been enforcing our laws and the way that you see fit, this family wouldn't have lost their daughter this weekend. The Air Force would still have a new cadet that's about to start in the fall. Isn't that terrible? How bad does it have to be? 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. You've got to be a real piece of garbage to hit someone with a jet ski. If I understand accidents happen. Sometimes, two boats are going in the water and you zigged when you should have zagged, or, maybe you're a novice boater and you're not familiar with how your craft handles that well. But that's not what this looks like. This looks like she was harassing the girls to get them to leave. When they were leaving, she was just going to buzz them one last time, ran over them, didn't turn around and help, tried to get the heck out of Dodge. Wasn't supposed to be here anyway. I am on board with the death penalty. If it's every bit as bad as it sounds, and I don't feel like I have a good enough handle on the details, and it's still such a new case, but if the details do flesh out to be what we think it is and what this sounds like here, hell yes, death penalty. What do you think? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. This is going to be interesting. Attorney General Ken Paxton, is this your job? Whose job is that? Who's going to be the person who's taking care of that? The Tarrant County District Attorney? Who is that? The Tarrant County District Attorney did not respond to a question sent by the Dallas Morning News because they were trying to find out if the county intends to seek the death penalty, or I'd be telling you. So we'll find out. Capital murder in the state of Texas, murder of a peace officer or firefighter, murder during the commission or attempted commission of kidnapping, burglary, robbery, aggravated sexual assault, arson, terroristic threat, or obstruction or retaliation, murder for hire, murder during escape from a penal institution, murder of someone younger than 15, or murder committed while incarcerated in a penal institution and serving a life sentence or 99-year sentence for certain violent crimes. How about murder if you cross here illegally? How about if you're here legally and you commit a violent crime or even a property crime? Whatever the punishment would be for a citizen, yours is double. It's just a multiplier. It's like when you get the Powerball Oh, it's going to double your reward. Yeah, that's what we need to do. If you're an illegal in here, you get it worse than you would have got if you were a legal citizen. Just something to slow this down. This is Steve in Weatherford. You're on WBAP. What do you think, Steve?
Oh, if I was that family, I would find me a good lawyer, and I'd sue the Bidens, I'd sue Mayorkas, I'd sue Venezuelan, I'd sue Mexico. I'd sue everybody involved with those people coming up here and running over my daughter, and I'd seize their assets for judgment once I won a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit.
Man, how bad do you feel for this family?
Oh, this is absolutely ridiculous, and people that should have stopped this or prevented it closed their eyes, made money on the deal. It's time for payback.
Well, look at how bad the media reporting is on this. If this fit the narrative, the descriptors, the adjectives before the perp would be in the headline. But since it doesn't fit the narrative, they don't even admit that she's an illegal immigrant from Venezuela until the 14th paragraph of the story. I mean, they're trying to bury it as hard as they can. They're running cover for these people. Just like when they go to El Salvador and they got to go run cover for this MS-13 domestic abusing, kidnapping gangbanger guy, human trafficker, literally. They've got to go run cover for him. They've got to run cover for these people and hide it in paragraph 14. The story's bad enough, and the media, you're going to be biased on a story like this, like a family lost their daughter, and you're going to go cover for the piece of garbage that killed her? Get it together. How bad do you have to be before you realize you're on the wrong side of this, media? This is just ugly.
Well, maybe it's time we incorporate the media into Sarbanes-Oxley, where you can have your First Amendment's right, but you cannot knowingly lie and deceive the public without reciprocity.
Yeah, I don't know how you put that in the law in a way that won't be used against us, Steve. They have to be ostracized. It has to be like saying the N-word. Everyone would just stop doing business with them if they said the N-word tomorrow. But they can go lie about the death of your 18-year-old daughter in order to run cover for illegal immigrant criminals. And they still have the prestige to exist tomorrow. They still don't have to apologize, or the people don't make them get behind a podium and say, I'm sorry, I'll never do this again, and send them to some sort of re-education camp. 800-288-9227. Do you think this is murder? Do you think the jet ski accident is a death penalty offense? That's where I'm at. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. And it turns out the lady that was driving the jet ski that ran up on her back while she was on a kayak, killed her, and then fled, illegal immigrant from Venezuela. And I think there's a big compounding effect. You know, accidents happen. People die on jet skis on a regular basis. But when you hit someone, when you're driving recklessly, when you're excess speed, too close to the shoreline, too close to other boaters, and then you run away, and then you hit other cars in the parking lot trying to get the heck out of there, and then when the cops catch up with you, you're packing your bags like you're about to be on the lam. These are all behaviors that make the situation worse, that escalate whatever I think the punishment should be. And then the real kick in the pants is that we find out these both the lady who was driving the jet ski and the guy who helped her get away, illegals from Venezuela, not even supposed to be here in the first place. And then on top of that, are these some of the people that were part of the program that the Biden administration was using your tax dollars to fly in third world rejects? So not only could they have been prevented from coming here if we just enforced our own laws, but we went out of our way. And even though we're $36 trillion in debt, we took some of your tax money and gave them a flight here. That might not be the case, because some of the other reporting I'm seeing is they were caught here illegally, and then they were given a court date and released back into society. Both of those, totally unacceptable. Whatever the details actually flesh out in whichever version is true, both of them, absolutely unacceptable. If that was my daughter, I would be livid. So how far does this go? If it's the worst case scenario, and I'm so sad to say that this very well might be, that's what it's leaning toward, I'd be okay with the death penalty. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. This is Roy in Dallas. You're on WBAP. What do you think?
Thank you for taking my call. The jet skis have been a continuous problem, and most recently, on weekends, there's Brian Hughes, who hosts the Texas Game Wardens, and also there is Big Billy Kinder on your station.
Yep.
And they've been bringing up the jet ski problem on many of the Texas area lakes. In Texas, you have to, if you're going to take a watercraft, especially a boat, on any Texas lake, you must go through certification and training and pass a test.
Oh, that's ridiculous. I've ridden a jet ski. I've never had any training. Common sense says you don't do the things that she did, and no amount of training can overdo people who are that stupid.
Well, the other factor is that you also have the NGOs in this state and other states, like the Catholic Church and the Catholic Diocese. They endorse and they permit, and they're assisting the illegal aliens in setting up shop in our state. And funding for the NGOs should stop. It should put the brakes on the flow of these illegal immigrants coming into our country.
That seems like the no-brainer part. Why are we facilitating this?
Why are we facilitating? We shouldn't be facilitating this. We should be expediting with assisting ICE.
Yeah.
They got it on their website. Look at their website on for ICE operations.
Yeah, look, Roy, I know where you're going with this. I think we all do. I halfway agree. I just don't agree with that licensing stuff. The people that came here illegally from Venezuela, got arrested, got re-released, are skipping their court date. They probably don't have the permits for the jet skis, or I wouldn't be surprised. You think that would have stopped them? You think that would have saved anyone over the weekend? You think she wouldn't be willing to break that law on driving a jet ski without Roy and Dallas's proper certification training? It wouldn't have. It would have just encumbered and added burdens and costs to citizens who are going to be safe anyway. But thank you. Edward in Dallas, you're next up on WBAP. What do you think?
Anybody think about maybe she was drunk? That's why she was driving that crazy and stuff like that. I'm not defending her anyway, but I'm just saying.
Well, that is one of the thoughts, and I hadn't brought that up. So, yeah, I guess we get like a toxicology report, but it depends on how fast they got to her, whether they still have it in her system, whether it be something that can be proven. I mean, unless there's witnesses saying, yes, I saw her drink 19 beers before she got there, that's going to be something that's hard to prove, but it's a legit question. Oh, I agree.
Yeah, because when they said they took off, they bounced off of two cars, taken out of there real quick. So I'm thinking the guy was drunk and she was drunk, and that's why they took off like that. And, nobody brought that up, so that's what I was thinking. And then took a couple of days to catch her. So I'm pretty sure, by the time they caught up with her, she wasn't drunk no more.
Yeah.
That's why she took off real quick.
Well, whether you're drunk or sober, unacceptable. I would be okay with the death penalty on this one. Thank you, Edward. Let me squeeze in one more, Garrett. This is Ron in Plano. You're on WBAP. What do you think?
I think that we need to find out who owned the jet ski or owns the jet ski. If it's a rental operation, they might have some financial accountability.
Yeah, I mean, I hate going after those guys.
Nobody's asking that question. These people that obviously didn't take it when they left. They were in a hurry. So who owned the jet ski? Those are thousands of dollars.
Yeah, but that's not the rental place's fault. That's like blaming the gun owner or the gun manufacturer for a murder.
If someone's inebriated when they walk into a bar, you don't serve.
Oh yeah, well I guess if that's the scenario.
You don't serve them then either.
No, you made a good point. That's better context. If they were visibly drunk when they rented it, okay.
These boat rental places, obviously, you have to qualify to rent the boat. You have to look like you have the ability to control the vessel. You have the ability to pay for it. And certain things like that. I'd like to talk to the person that rented it to her, or him, or whoever rented it.
Well, good questions. I hope we get all those answers. Thank you. That's Ron in Plano.